Hey, smart people, buckle your seatbelts because we're going to dive right in to my 5 best last-minute study tips for exams. Hi, Matt DeMaio back with you for more techniques helping you to be smarter faster. You've got a test coming up really soon and you need to make the most of the little bit of time you've got left. You want to get the highest grade you can with the least amount of work and stress possible. Well, this is how to do it. Here are the 5 tips. They all work together. So don't just check out 1 or 2 and think you're good. You need to apply all 5 in various combinations. Study tip number 1, be strategic. Don't study for each subject the same way. Preparing for a test is different than studying to learn. I know they're supposed to be the same thing, but they're not. When you study for an exam, your goal is to get the best grade possible. In order to do that, you need to use different approaches depending on the type of subject you're dealing with. First, there are classes where understanding concepts is the most important aspect. Subjects like that include economics, psychology, sociology, political science, and so on. You must be able to explain, compare, and evaluate a variety of concepts. Next, there are classes where problem solving is the most important aspect. Some obvious subjects are math, physics, engineering, chemistry. You get the idea. Lastly, there are certain classes where memorization is the most important aspect. Those classes would include things like history, foreign languages, anatomy, and so on. You need to be able to recall specific names, dates, locations, terminology. Memorization is a big topic that we can't get into detail here, but I cover one really good technique in tip number 2. The bottom line is you must be strategic in how you prepare for your exams. This is not a one-size-fits-all type of approach. You don't want to focus on memorization techniques for classes where the primary objective is problem solving or understanding concepts. You follow? And by the way, if you get value from my videos, please subscribe, enable notifications with that little bell icon, and give it a like. Post your comments. Those of you who are regulars know I read them all and reply to a lot of them. Last minute study tip number 2, use memory tricks. As I mentioned in tip number 1, the topic of memorization is a really big one. In fact, that's why I created a dedicated video-based training course called How to Have an Incredible Memory. You'll see the link for it in the description below this video. However, there are a number of simple techniques that you can employ. The one I'll cover here is something you may already be familiar with. It can help you immediately. I call it alphabet soup. The alphabet soup memory technique is where you take the first letter from the items or topics on a list that you have. Then you make either a word, a phrase, or a sentence from them. I'll give you a couple of examples you may already know. Here are 2 famous ones. To remember the names of the 5 Great Lakes, we can use the word HOMES, and it stands for Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, Superior. Here's a sentence using the same idea to remember the 9 planets in our solar system: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. My very energetic mother just served us 9 pickles. I learned a new one. Mary's violet eyes make John stay up nights panting. Oh, by the way, I know that whether Pluto is a planet or not is slightly controversial, but I chose to include it. If you're a medical student, you may already know about using alphabet soup for anatomy, anesthesiology, or biochemistry. For example, the wrist joint, roads in California, radiocarpal, intercarpal, carpometacarpal, or spinal anesthesia agents. Little boys prefer toys. Lidocaine, bupivacaine, procaine, tetracaine. There are tons of examples. In fact, I'll be producing a specialized video teaching many variations using the alphabet soup technique soon. Last minute study tip number 3, hand write your notes. It's been proven over and over that rereading the passages in your textbook or your notes, slides, PDFs will do very little to help you retain information for your test. Don't do it. However, handwriting key ideas that you may be struggling to recall is perhaps the very best thing that you can do to lock in the information into your head. Don't just write it out, but also say it out loud to yourself as you do it. Notice I didn't say typing up your notes. I said handwrite them out. There have been a number of studies that show the act of handwriting information out helps you to retain it better. I explain this phenomenon in a bit more detail in some of my other videos, but it has to do with something called multisensory perception. The more senses you use when learning a thing, the stronger the neural pathways are created. When you write out your key points, the information starts in your eye when you're looking at the original information. Then it comes out of your hand. Then it comes back in through your eye. If you're also saying it out loud, the information is coming in through your eye and then out through your mouth, then back in through your ear. It may sound weird, but like I said, the more senses you use, the better it'll stay with you. Last minute study tip number 4. Do practice exams. More than any other tip on this list, doing practice exams will yield the most benefit in the least amount of time. If you have a quiz at the end of the chapter in your textbook, take it. I strongly recommend getting copies of past exams from your teacher or looking them up online and taking those tests. Nothing will prepare you better. You'll see what areas you already know well, and then you can just brush up on them. But more importantly, you'll see where you're weak, so you can devote time to those topics or types of problems. Last minute study tip number 5. De-stress yourself. Stress is far and away the biggest reason people don't do well on exams. Even when you know the information, stress can really hurt your grades. Here's a couple of things to know about this. First, be sure to get plenty of sleep before your big test. Don't pull an all-nighter. Do not take any sort of medication that you don't normally take, as it can either mess up your sleep cycle or leave you blurry the next day. Do not brush the idea of getting enough sleep off lightly. It's been proven time and time again that it's the very best way to recharge your brain so you're fully alert and functioning at your peak efficiency during the test. If you suffer from test anxiety, do deep breathing exercises. You can look them up here on YouTube for more details. But controlling your breathing is about the very best thing you can possibly do for yourself to relieve anxiety. I also recommend that you do a little bit of exercise, whatever floats your boat, whether it's push-ups, some light calisthenics, or a bit of yoga. At the very least, go take a walk. It'll help clear your head. Exercise is a great stress reliever, and it gets your circulation going, which brings more oxygenated blood to your brain. If you need more help, I've published videos on note-taking and the best strategies for multiple choice tests, and also on essay exams. Again, if you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you do. If you did get benefit from what I covered here, please give me a like, post a comment, and share the video link on your social media. Also, if you haven't seen them yet, be sure to check out my videos called Retain What You Read and the 5 Best Ways to Skyrocket Your Score on Exams. As always, this is your favorite Uncle Matt, reminding you that everything I teach takes just a bit of work and effort, but it's worth it. Always remember that the fastest way to get to the top is to get off your bottom. I'll see you on my other videos soon.